We've got a log file here from whoisthat. Whoisthat, first thing I want to say is I'm not going to talk about the twitching that you're experiencing. It looks like Boris has acknowledged that that is an issue with Betaflight and the F3 boards. And so at that point, it's some kind of bug related to the firmware, and we're not going to get any answers any better than he is. He's going to investigate it and figure out what the answer is. So we just have to wait and see. So that's it for that. As far as your submission goes, I was not able to get your. By the way, I know I screwed this up once before looking at the wrong file that somebody submitted. I'm pretty sure I am looking at the file you submitted, and I can't quite get it to line up with your video. So I've probably screwed something up. I apologize for that. But we're just going to go ahead and look at the video separate from the log. We'll look at the log file you submitted too. So I want you guys just ignore the black box stuff here. The only reason I've got it up is because if I don't load the log file, I can't easily scroll through the video. So just ignore it for the time being though. And let's just go ahead, and the first thing I want to bring your attention to that I noticed is at the end of this turn you do, see how the copter drifts to the outside there? Now maybe that's your stick. Maybe that, let me just show it again. Yeah, right there. I'll go back even further. Turn, left, turn, and right roll. So maybe that's just your stick commands. It does look a little bit from your flying like you're still sort of getting a feel for coordinated flight. That's how it sort of feels to me. But if that's not your stick commands, it's possible that you've got something going on with your eye gain on roll. Just a thought. If we keep watching, I can also hear some oscillations in the motors. Now you don't have any, and I don't think you guys are able to hear this, so you'll have to watch the video yourself if you wanna catch up. I don't hear any strong oscillations there when you do this big punch out, and that's a good sign. It maybe means that you have enough TPA to sort of tame that kind of thing. Let's take a look maybe at your PID settings and see if there's any insights there. Roll on I is 0.35. You are using Lux Float, are you? I think you're using Lux Float. PID controller 2, yeah, you're using Lux Float. Roll on I is 0.35, so it's unlikely that that's too low. So I think it's probably that right roll that I saw was just you working your sticks a little bit, so that's fine. Your TPA rate is 71. Yeah, there we go. So as we keep watching the video, there are some cases where it feels to me like your P gain might be just a bit high, either on roll or on pitch. I'm not sure which. We'll have to look at your logs. But we don't see that on the strong punch out, and the reason is probably that your TPA is, with a 0.7 TPA, is quite high. Not too high. It's not a problem, but it does mean that issues that might be showing up at lower throttles are being tamed at higher throttles. But I like the fact that I don't hear any extreme oscillation on that big punch out. Good. Now we got some jitter there, some oscillation there when you did that sharp left turn. That is the whole sort of skidding backwards into your own prop wash scenario, and it's normal to see some oscillation there, especially on high-powered setups. You can reduce P. Usually it's roll P that you reduce to get rid of that. You can reduce it until it goes away, but you may find that the copter starts flying soft enough that it gets hard to control. I had an experience recently where I was trying to tune that kind of thing, and I was actually I had a problem with my ESCs that was causing some jitter during flight, and I kept reducing P a little bit and reducing my filter cutoff a little bit until the point where suddenly I was flying terrible. Like I couldn't hit lines that I always hit, not like hard lines, and I was just running into tree branches for no reason. Like just, it was like I was, half a step behind the copter or something, and I was like, what is going on? I just must be having an off day. but it turned out that I had just reduced my P gains enough. Yeah, I got rid of this shutter, but I also made it so I couldn't fly it anymore. Um, so, so it's a trade-off there where you want to try and get that. But I do notice that as your call whether you like that or whether you want to try and tune that out. Again, ignore the sticks, ignore Blackbox. That's nothing. That's not synced up. There's some more. Now, see, that one was a little not as sharp a turn. We'll go back. Was not as sharp a turn there, and you were descending in your own prop wash, but it was a little bit less of an extreme maneuver. Ready? Here it comes. Right there, and a little bit more there when you punch the throttle to save yourself from hitting the ground. So that kind of thing is making me think that just maybe there's just a smidge more P gain. If this were my copter, I would be thinking there was maybe I could tolerate just a smidge less P gain and get it flying a little smoother. On the other hand, if that's the equivalent to you of a car skidding its tires and making a lovely smoke, then keep it. The copter also looks just a little loose sometimes on like it might have just a little bit not enough eye gain, but I have a feeling that's probably your stick movements more than it is eye gain, because your eye gains are actually not bad. They're let's see, where are they? Pitch eye 55, roll eye 35. Yeah, that's pretty close to what I run. I don't have the same power system as you, but that's for an H quad, that's pretty close to what I would call like a nominal value. So I don't think your eye gains are too low. I think it's just seeing what you're doing on the sticks. Now I did want to point out this that happens at the end of your roll. Look at this roll and watch the end. There. Now that shutter at the end of the roll is pretty distinctive to me. I have a 3S rig running 6030 props. So it is not a high-powered rig at all, or fancy or anything. And I can get completely clean rolls. My flips are terrible, but my rolls are completely clean. They just stop dead with no bounce and no oscillation. So that oscillation there, I'm not bragging. I'm just saying if I can do it with my little underpowered rig, then your rig can definitely have clean rolls. Watch. Boom. There you said oscillation there. You can definitely get rid of that. Now, if you think that you might reduce your P gain anyway, that's the first place I would look. That kind of hard, fast roll or oscillation, that kind of hard, fast oscillation feels to me like excess P. There's a kind of a softer, slower oscillation that can happen when P is a little bit too low, and it fails to correct enough. But that's not what we're seeing here. That hard, fast oscillation that quickly damps, that's probably excess P. So if you think that you might want to reduce P anyway to get rid of some of that skidding oscillation that we were seeing when you're sort of backing up into your own prop wash after a hard turn, then go ahead and do that and see if your rolls get better. But chances are good that you're going to need to increase your D gain on roll. Let's have a look at what it is. Roll D is only 20. Okay, so I would immediately put that to, let's say, 40. And pitch D, well, I mean, let's look at a flip, but my gut is that you're going to want that higher. So with a roll D of only 20, it's not doing much. It's doing a little, but it's not doing much. Somewhere around 10 or 15, it's not doing much. It's really doing nothing. And by 5 and 0, it's literally doing nothing. So around 20, D is starting to work in a lot of setups, but it's still not sort of fully realized. So I think that if you decide you want to decrease P, go ahead and decrease P a little bit, see if you like how that flies. And then if you still have those oscillations, increase D. Frankly, you probably could increase D anyway, since D is kind of low to begin with. So some combination of maybe a little less P and putting D, I think at least 30 or 35, probably more like 40, and maybe as high as 50 or even 60. 60 is probably the upper end of just, intuitively where I think it might end up. So I think that would solve that for you, and that's a completely solvable thing, and it really should be completely solvable under most setups. Did you say what your ESCs were? KISS. Yeah. Come on. There's no reason to have that with KISS, with Cobra 2206 motors, and you don't have your props. But from the sound of them, I'm guessing they're 5-inch props. I'm guessing. So yeah, you should really have clean rolls. There's no reason you should have to tolerate that. Um, okay, well let's just take a look at your logs real quick. I have about a few more minutes left on this video before the video software cuts me off. Let's take a look first at your gyros, of course. Your gyros. Wow, what is happening on roll? Look at that. Look. Oh my goodness. I don't know what's happening here, but this is not good. I mean, you're flying fine, don't get me wrong, right? But this is a pretty noisy roll axis. That's pretty incredible. Something is up with your copter. You'll notice that your yaw and your pitch are they're okay. They're not the best in the world. They're not the cleanest in the world. That's okay. Neither are mine. And if we look at your settings, let's see, gyro cut hertz 0. Okay, well that's starting to make sense then. Hang on a second. Gyro cut 0. And what have you got? Gyro LPF 188. Okay, so you're trying to live on the edge here, and I don't think it's the best thing for you. Gyro LPF 188, gyro cut 0. You got to have a really clean copter to get away with that. And frankly, I don't think you're getting away with it. I think you're doing yourself more harm than good by running gyro cut of 0. And these traces, man, this is pretty impressive, frankly. If you're running gyro cut of 0 and gyro LPF of 188, you actually have a really clean copter to be able. If all 3 traces looked like this, I would be smacking myself in the head, and I would be handing you a trophy because that's really nice. Unfortunately, the roll, as usual, the roll is betraying us. The copter has less, its mass is more centered on the roll axis, which means it is less inherently damped on the roll axis and more susceptible to vibration. And your roll trace it's terrible. I'm not going to mince words. It's terrible. You have way too nice a copter to be tolerating this kind of noise. And I would go out on a limb and say it's definitely making your copter fly worse. So, I really think, oh, look how thick that is. Killing me here. So I definitely think you want some gyro cut. Put gyro cut of 100. Put gyro cut of 120. Look at your gyro traces and get this roll down to at least as thick as this pitch is. Now, when you change gyro cut, they're all going to get thinner, right? So just look at how thick this one is right now and decrease gyro cut until roll gets down to about this thick. That'll still be not the cleanest copter in the world, but I think it'll fly way better. So yeah, that's what I would say about that. We got a few more minutes. Let me just see what else we can look at here. Let's take a look at your PIDs on your roll and pitch. You'll notice I don't look at yaw very much, and the reason for that is that it's very hard to tune yaw just looking at traces, at least for me. Yaw is very much a feel thing, and I find it very hard, unless you have a specific problem you're looking to troubleshoot, I find it very hard to do that. So look at roll. Look at your D term on roll here. You have a pretty good amount of filtering on roll. Your D-term cut hertz is 8. That's low, and I think it's good that it's low. I have a feeling, it used to be Boris recommend D-term cut around 17, 18, 20. I have a feeling that actually is even higher than it needed to be, and that something like 8 is fine. It doesn't seem like it has negative effects in terms of the copter's responsiveness, and it really smooths out the D-term, which is good. But look at your roll here. Look how jittery that is, even with all that filtering. That is because your gyro is letting all this noise in. Oh my goodness. With a gyro cut, with a D-term cut of 8, there's no reason for the D-term trace to be that noisy. And it's because the gyro cut is too high. So definitely change that. Definitely lower your gyro cut to at least 120, maybe 100, maybe even 70, and do some blind tests or something. I bet you'll like how it flies. I'm out of time. My software's about to cut me off. So there you go. That's all you get. Talk to you later. Happy flying. Bye bye.